Phantom Hourglass is often talked about as the Zelda game that time forgot. Being made on the DS, the developers would be able to take advantage of the hardware in new and unique ways. Unfortunately, fans of the previous Zelda titles were disappointed, as every unique feature felt like Nintendo shoehorning in gimmicks to advertise new features, like using the touchscreen to control everything from Link's movement to his items. A lot of people wanted a traditional top-down Zelda game, but Phantom Hourglass just didn't feel right. However, it was the first Zelda game I ever beat, and I didn't have anything else to compare it to. I liked the game for what it was, rather than for what it could have been. And to this day, the nostalgia keeps bringing me back to this childhood classic, and every few years, I'll give it another playthrough. The whole point of the game revolves around going deeper and deeper into the Temple of the Ocean King. The temple has been cursed to drain the life force of anyone who enters, unless they have the power of the game's namesake, the Phantom Hourglass. While sand is still at the top, your life force won't be drained, so the idea is to get as far as possible before time runs out, or you'll slowly start taking damage. Recently, I was presented with a unique opportunity. While at a relative's house for Thanksgiving, my cousin was giving the game a try. It was his first time, and he was having a little trouble. He was knee-deep in the temple, and he asked if I could help him out. He was running low on time, and in this dungeon, when you die, you have to start over from the beginning. It was a lot of fun to try to survive with the stricter time limit, and we were able to make it through. But that day, an idea began to form in our heads. What if we tried to go through the entire temple with 0 time in the hourglass? Phantom Hourglass is a direct sequel to The Wind Waker. Tetra and the pirate crew are drawn to waters said to be cursed by a ghost ship, with hopes of exposing this supposed curse as a group of fakers. But just as Tetra jumps aboard, she disappears into the fog, and the ghost ship begins to pull away. Link tries to follow before the ship gets too far away, but his upper body strength ultimately fails him. We wash up on the shore of an island and meet an old man and his fairy, who advise us that trying to save Tetra would result in certain doom. We ignore the warnings, steal the man's sword, and head off to the Temple of the Ocean King. Upon entering the temple, we meet a salty old sailor named Linebeck. He needs our help to escape a trap he accidentally stumbled into. Normally he'd do it himself, but he rolled his ankle and now he can't move. Fortunately, the solution is a simple switch that, when activated, disables these spikes. Upon being freed, Linebeck walks the pain off as he runs away like a baby. We go to confront him for lying about his injury, but he somehow convinces us to go back into the temple to find treasure. The task isn't difficult, just hit a few more switches, and we were rewarded with the first of 4 sea charts. Upon inspecting the map with Linebeck and the old man, we find a mark on an island to the south. We sail over and rescue a fortune teller named Astrid, who foresees a dangerous path forward. But the brief mention of treasure is enough to get Linebeck's attention. Astrid tells us how to enter the island's temple, and away we go. Inside, we find our first item, Boomerang. And free a red fairy, known as the Spirit of Power. Making our way back to the Temple of the Ocean King, the old man gives us the Phantom Hourglass, and with the help of the Spirit of Power, we can go through this door to the rest of the temple. First, however, we use all the sand from the hourglass, which will only take 10 minutes of doing absolutely nothing. Once our 10 minutes is up, we can officially start the challenge. Upon entering the first room, we're introduced to the main enemies of the temple, the Phantoms. These bucketheads will walk around patrolling looking for suspicious activity. If one of them sees you, they'll all be alerted and they'll come to attack. If they hit you, you'll lose time from your hourglass. Since we don't have any time to lose, we'll only take damage. As long as we stand in these purple spaces, we'll be safe from the Phantom's gaze and the life drain curse. These will be essential to our survival. We make our way to a switch in the top right corner, which activates this torch. Our boomerang can light the next torch and open the path forward. Once pressed, this button opens the door to the key. We take it to the locked door, making sure to stop at as many safe spots as possible. Behind the locked door are the stairs to the next room. Here, we have to activate 3 switches in quick succession. Time is of the essence, and the key we need is on the other side of the room. This floor spends a lot of time out in the open, and there weren't enough safe spots to make it before passing out. But this is where my secret weapon comes into play. In Phantom Hourglass, Link has 2 potion slots. In the store, you can buy red and purple potions. Red potions are cheap and restore 6 hearts. Purple potions cost twice as much, but they restore 8 hearts. Right now, we don't have enough heart containers for the difference to matter, but purple potions have a unique property. Like bottled fairies in other Zelda games, the purple potion will automatically activate if you die, bringing us back to full health. So before entering the temple, I did several hours of community service, cutting grass to afford 2 purple potions. With my health back at full, I was able to make my way to the next staircase. The last floor of this temple is the toughest. The gimmick here is to find 3 force gems and return them to their pedestals. Once again, Link's lack of upper body strength is his downfall. He can't move very fast and carry force gems at the same time. In this challenge, we have to move as fast as possible or it's game over. To save time when moving the force gems, we can throw them. Link can throw them, run to them, pick them up, and throw them again, which is faster than just walking with them. Our saving grace for this run are these golden pots. Rather than containing hearts or item refills, they contain extra seconds for the Phantom Hourglass. These don't invalidate the rules of the challenge because we still start at the temple entrance with 0 seconds. There's no rule that says we can't pick up extra seconds while we're inside. One of the force gems is behind a locked door, but this phantom is holding the key. We make our way onto this platform where you can press buttons that will open trapdoors. If a phantom is standing over one when they open, they drop into the void and are relieved of their key. You can also hit them to make them drop whatever they're holding, but that is a lot more risky. We're still spending a lot of time out in the open, and I ended up using my second potion right before getting to the second force gem. My health couldn't take another round of force gem throwing, but I had another trick up my sleeve. Whenever a floor loads, each phantom resets to their starting position, and all pots, except for golden ones, reset too. When a pot resets, its contents are refilled, so potentially, if there was a single pot with a heart, you could completely refill your health by just reloading the floor. I refilled my health, and then I took advantage of another trick. Link can carry items to other floors, so I brought a health pot back to the force gem to maximize how much time I could spend out in the open. With the last force gem in place, the door opened, and the next sea chart was mine. After that, I bought a cannon, signed for a package, and chased down the ghost ship. Unfortunately, we couldn't get through this barrier of fog, so the ghost ship got away. So we had to turn around and look for clues. On Melidia Island, we found a shovel and a map left by an old explorer. The map gave us detailed instructions on how to navigate through the fog. Once we made it through, we couldn't find the ghost ship, but we did find the Isle of Gust and the Temple of Wind, which contained a bomb bag, and the Spirit of Wisdom. When we beat the boss Cyclock, he dissolved into Sand of Hours and added 2 minutes to the Phantom Hourglass. So, upon returning to the Temple of the Ocean King, we have to wait 12 minutes instead of 10. In the first room, we can skip the switch and the torches by blowing up these blocks. In the next room, we can save time by going through the spawnable wall, and in the force gem room, we can grab an additional golden pot from behind these blocks. The sea chart room has another golden pot and a door that can only be opened with the Spirit of Wisdom. Up ahead, we get introduced to a new enemy, the Phantom Eye. These little boogers can see you in any direction and will latch onto you, alerting the phantoms to your location. The best way to get rid of them is to run to a safe zone. You can kill Phantom Eyes if you stun them before they see you. This room also features wind jets, which you can't go through. Going straight down, we can stun this Phantom Eye and hit this switch to deactivate the wind jet. We can also grab another golden pot with our boomerang. Past this next Phantom Eye, we can dig up a vertical wind jet, which will bring us up to a switch that disables all the wind jets in the room permanently. We can also snag an additional 30 seconds around the corner. Even with all these golden pots, every second is still extremely valuable. We blast through this wall and hit the switch to open the path to the key. Up next is an enemy gauntlet. There's no real strategy here, just kill the enemies as fast as possible. Each group of enemies reveals a golden pot with 15 seconds once defeated. The next room is meant to have you running around, solving clues to find out what to draw on this door, but if you already know the solution, you can just run right in. The clue inside isn't a sea chart, but it does have something to do with the sea. Somehow, we have to press the sacred crest against the southwest sea chart. This riddle actually deals with the physical hardware of the DS. If you open your sea chart and then close your DS, the two maps will touch and the clue will transfer. Pretty clever. Now that we have the clue, we can ship out. Up next on the itinerary, we go back to where we bought the cannon. There's a new invention for sale called the salvage arm, which lets us pick up treasure from the ocean floor. If we use the arm over the crest, we'll retrieve the sun key. Back on Melidia Island, the key can be used to open the path to the Temple of Courage. A couple Indiana Jones moments, a bow and arrow, and an invisible crab later, we get 2 minutes for the Hourglass, another heart container, and our fairy seal's true form. But first, the old man has to fuse them together. With all three spirits, we can use their powers to track down the ghost ship to rescue Tetra. On board the dreaded ghost ship at last, we meet a scared little girl who asks us to help save her three sisters. She doesn't know where Tetra is, but she thinks she might be locked up with one of them. The ghost ship is a dungeon like the Ocean King's temple, but there's no life drain here, so there isn't a need for the Hourglass. In place of phantoms are new enemies called Reaplings. These Reaplings are faster than regular phantoms, and they can see you through the walls. However, they're no match for the overpowered purple safe zone. Unfortunately, Tetra isn't with any of the sisters, but as we reunite the four of them, they reveal their true demonic form. Their evil plan is to defeat Link through the power of ping pong. Several volleys later, we get the ghost ship key and can rescue Tetra. But we were too late. Her life force has drained away, leaving behind a frozen statue. The old man tells us that we can still save her if we defeat the great evil that lurks at the bottom of the Temple of the Ocean King, and there's a blacksmith that can make us a sword powerful enough to slay that great evil. In order to do that, however, we need to find 3 sacred metals in the east, so we need to delve back into the Temple of the Ocean King to get the remaining sea charts. The blacksmith teaches us a trick to go further through the door we drew an hourglass on. This visit to the Ocean King will be the toughest, as it's actually possible to get the next 2 sea charts in a single trip. This is the run that will really test our strength. The first 2 rooms don't change this time, but we do get introduced to a new enemy, the Swift Phantom. The only difference is that they move faster, and if they see something shiny, they'll take it. If you're not careful, they can really mess you up. But we can take advantage of this mechanic through a strategy I call the Phantom Postal Service. Here's an example. The Swift Phantom follows his set path, sees the key on the other side of the spikes, and goes to collect his new shiny prize. He goes back to his regular patrol route, and we can use our boomerang to steal the key from him. We can do the same thing with Force Gems. We'll throw this Force Gem into the Phantom's view, steal his key, and then he'll pick up the Force Gem. We can put each Force Gem into circulation, even if each Phantom is already holding an item, just as long as the Phantom will be able to see it. Getting Force Gems back from the Phantoms is a little more complicated than getting keys. Your boomerang can't pick them up. Instead, we can shoot an arrow at a weak spot in the back of the Phantom to stun them. Then, steal the Force Gem back, and we can deliver it to the pedestal. Using this method, the Phantoms will bring the Force Gems to us, which will save tons of time. When we get to the red door, we can go back to the hourglass room for an additional 30 seconds. Then, we just leave the way we came and draw the next shape. The next room introduces a new mechanic, the noisy floors. If you walk too fast, the floor will make a noise that can alert Phantoms to your presence. I've dealt with these floors so many times that they don't really affect my strategy. This floor and the next few all revolve around putting crystals and pedestals to get past. Kinda like Force Gems, but there's more than one pedestal for each crystal to activate. There's also an invisible bridge here we can find by carefully watching the Phantom's route. If we can make our way up to this chest, we obtain the Circle Crystal. Bringing it to the other side of the room on the next floor down opens the way to floor B9, which is where each crystal's main pedestal is. There's a fire barrier here though, so we'll take the Triangle Crystal instead and find another way around. We can take another invisible bridge to save time instead of going all the way around to the triangle pedestal. Putting in the crystal will allow us to hit this switch, opening the next way down. When we enter B9 from this side, a new type of enemy spawns. These little Time Reaper things will try to sneak up on you, and if they hit you, they'll steal precious seconds from your Hourglass. But if you can kill them before they get you, they'll drop 30 seconds for you to collect. The only Phantom on this floor is carrying the last crystal, a square, so we'll just borrow it from him real quick and use it to deactivate the fire barrier from before. We can go through and get the circle crystal, then bring both over to the center pedestals. Normally, you'd put each crystal in as soon as you get them, but a skeleton in the next room tells us that if we put the crystals in a certain order, we can go deeper into the temple. If we already know the order, we can just keep going without having to return to the temple's entrance. First C chart down, 1 to go. Going back out, we find a new floor and the final new Phantom type. These are Gold Phantoms. They have the speed of regular Phantoms, but they can pick up objects just like Swift Phantoms. But the Gold Phantoms can teleport to anywhere Link is detected. They're not necessarily tougher to sneak past, but we can take advantage of the teleportation mechanic in the final form of the Phantom Delivery Service. But that's not until later. For now, we just need to make our way through the rest of the rooms, being sure to get as many extra seconds as possible. The next 2 rooms are the toughest individual rooms in the entire temple. To get past this floor, you have to press 4 switches on raised platforms in each corner of the room. The timer for the last bridge is very tight, and you need to run past both Phantoms before it deactivates. It's very easy to mess this part up, but if you manage to get each button pressed, the door will open to the last room. The final floor sees us putting the Phantom Delivery Service to work. This Gold Phantom starts right in front of the Force Gem pedestals, so whenever we need to, we can stun him with an arrow and retrieve his Force Gem. Each gem that gets placed down in this room spawns a Time Reaper, so we can get extra seconds to finish the floor when we go out for the next gem. Before I could get the last gem, however, I got spotted by a Phantom Eye and narrowly avoided capture, but in the process, I lost most of my remaining time. With each gem in place, the last door opens, and we can go through to get the final C chart. 3 temples, 3 pure metals, 6 minutes for the Phantom Hourglass, and a brand new Phantom Sword later, we meet up with the Old Man to add the power of the Phantom Hourglass. And it's off to the Ocean King's temple for the final visit. After a quick 20-minute wait, we're off. Our final visit doesn't introduce any new strategies, but we can use the new items we got from the East Dungeons to save time. Bomb shoes can follow set paths and go through holes in the walls. The grappling hook can steal items from phantoms and get us to new places. And finally, the hammer can press switches from a distance and can quickly defeat weaker enemies. We can also use the Phantom Sword to kill enemies that are in the way, but I'll still take advantage of their delivery service. In a surprise twist in the last room, 3 of each Phantom type spawn, and we have to kill them all to open the final door. If you can't tell, it's really difficult. Now, we face Bellum, the scourge of the realm of the Ocean King, draining the life force of any and all beings and cursing the world to destruction. After smacking him around for a little bit, he accidentally spits out the rest of Sila's powers, granting you the power to freeze time and overcome Bellum's quick and unpredictable movements. Once we deliver the final blow, he uses a curse to destroy the room in a last-ditch effort to kill us. Luckily, the old man's full power has returned, and he's able to save us just in time. With Bellum defeated, Tetra's life force returns, and the day is saved. Unfortunately, this is a Nintendo game, and Bellum comes back, except he's more powerful. He snatches up Tetra and possesses the ghost ship. To save Tetra, we have to chase him down. Our cannon firing non-stop, we destroyed the ghost ship, then moving closer to make sure Bellum's really dead this time. Always playing dirty, Bellum seizes the opportunity to possess something else, and he takes over Linebacker. A few time freezes later, we deliver the final blow. Bellum turns into sand of ours, and the life force he stole is returned to the realm. This was a fun challenge, but I've played so much Phantom Hourglass over the past couple weeks that I'm ready to finish this video so I can go play something else. I liked coming up with strategies to save time, but the game shoves so many pots down your throat that any sense of challenge can easily be overcome by just reloading each floor. Waiting for the timer to expire was annoying, but when there's 30 seconds left in the hourglass, a little alarm plays, so you can just do something else while you wait for the timer to run out. So it's not too bad. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.